Good morning, Tucson, Arizona, and welcome, Pima County. This is Tom Cortese, the co-host of the Fresh Start International Show, and Dr. Damon T. Holt is on his way. He'll be here very quickly. He's caught in traffic. We have a special guest with us here today, Judge Ron Wilson, who was a judge for how many years, sir? 3 decades?
No, I was appointed in 2002.
2002, 23 years?
Yes, sir.
Amen. All right, we're going to get to that, but let's make some announcements. On October 18th, we will be having the Fresh Start Expo, number 5. Okay,
Yes.
Over the last 5 years, we have either restructured or eliminated over $1 million in fines. We have had so many people get their rights restored. They have got their records expunged. They have got their records sealed. They have restructured payments so that they could get back in their children's lives for child support. They've gotten their driver's license back so they don't have to look over their shoulder every day.
Absolutely.
And this is the Fresh Start event that we're talking about in October, where we're going to have the judges out there on a Saturday, taking their robes off and leaving the cops at home for a no arrest event to change our futures. And I speak to our futures. Please, everything is live on the Facebook. Everything is live on the website. You can go there, scan the QR codes, register for the events. If you're a vendor, please come and join us. Now, what we're talking about next is the Fresh Start International Fundraising Brunch. We usually do a breakfast. This year we're doing a brunch because we just want to give people a little bit more time to be fresh in the morning. And we're going to have a special guest come on and join us and speak at that event. We are asking you, this also is live on the website and on Facebook, and you can scan the QR code and you can see all the opportunities that you have to support us at Fresh Start doing the work that we do. Remember, we did Market on the Move from January to June. Over 600 families were given 60-pound boxes of produce for a $10 donation for that 6-month period. We are changing the future for people who want to participate in this program, because this program is forgetting your past and letting you move forward in a positive way, in a flourishing future. And there's so many people that are getting on board. We did a wonderful event the other day with the Second Chance Resource Fair, and there were so many people. 70?
Oh, my goodness.
70 out there?
Beautiful.
William?
Yes.
William Bryant's with us again today.
Yes.
Yes. And he was out there and he was collecting all of the cards from everybody else so that we could get them at the October event. So amen, join us, get on the Facebook, get onto the website, register as a vendor, register as somebody, a participant. If you want to get your rights restored, if you want to expunge your record, if you want to seal your record, if you have fines that are holding you back, if you don't have your driver's license and you got warrants, come get it squashed and get it fixed. So you're not looking over your shoulder and then having to sit in county jail for a week or 2 weeks waiting while they towed your vehicle and your family's trying to pay bills while you're not working. So please come on out and see us. This is a real important event. Now let's bring in Judge Ron Wilson, who has, let me read this because this is pretty incredible, man. It's very cool. Judge Ronald A. Wilson earned his Bachelor of Arts degrees from Syracuse University and his Juris Doctorate from Northeastern University. In 96, he received the Otto Snowden Community Fellowship from the Urban Law and Public Policy Institute.
So powerful.
A trailblazing program in Boston committed to developing solutions to the challenges facing the nation's inner city communities. In 99, he moved from New England to Arizona and worked for the Pima County Attorney as a crime prevention specialist, special staff assistant in the Community Prosecution Unit. In 2002, he was appointed the Chief Magistrate for the City of South Tucson. In addition to his role as full-time judge of the City of South Tucson, Wilson is a professor at the University of Arizona, a faculty member of the Arizona Judicial College, high school civics teacher, mentor, author, playwright, entrepreneur. Do you have any more time? He is the immediate past national chairman of the American Bar Association Mental Health Courts Committee and member of the editorial board for the Judges Journal. Judge Wilson is the founder of the National Justice Foundation, the Alcumus Institute for Advanced Mentoring, and the Roots College Preparatory School for Wayward Children. Judge Wilson is a recipient of the 2006 Tucson Business Edge 40 Under 40 Man of the Year and the NAACP Rosa Parks Living History Makers Award. The Martin Luther King Jr. Drum Major Award. The Asa Philip Randolph Institute Ida B. Wells Social Justice Award. he was appointed chief magistrate for the city of South Tucson in 2002. Judge Wilson was 33 years of age, the first black chief magistrate in Arizona, and one of the youngest chief magistrates in American history.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome to the Fresh Start International Show,
Welcome,
sir.
welcome.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure being here.
Amen.
Thank you for that introduction.
It's great to have you. We always love to have judges come on the show because, you know, us coming from our perspective, William and I, from being locked up, we've been before judges before, and we're always talking about the sentencing code and stuff like that. What we're going to talk to you about, you know, you're coming to speak at our event in September 20th, the fundraising breakfast at Paseo del Norte, St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. And we'd like to just hear your perspective on the justice system and on our perspective with Fresh Start and what you know about what we do helping people.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's start with Fresh Start. I think what you're doing is amazing. What you're doing needs to be replicated, not only around the state of Arizona, but throughout the entire country. It should be embedded in policy.
Amen.
And it should be something that's funded by taxpayers. A lot of people don't realize that, oh, there he is, Pastor Holt, that the majority of those who are incarcerated will eventually come back to our communities.
Yeah.
Our mothers, our fathers, our sons, our daughters, all will at some point return. And we want them to return to a community that embraces them, that welcomes them, and that can uplift them so that they can be successful. We don't want them to recidivate. And what Fresh Start is doing is those very things, providing ex-offenders an opportunity to connect with their loved ones, to be positive, contributing members of our community, and reduce or eliminate that recidivism.
In the justice system itself that we're talking about, you know, it's difficult. Like we talked earlier about working within that system to be able to move forward, because in a truth in sentencing and this mass incarceration attitude, people are locked up for so long, it doesn't matter what they do.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are so many areas within the justice system that I could speak about, but specifically the prisons do, as we talked about before, do make it extremely difficult, if not impossible, for people to re-enter our society without significant trauma and without some significant harm that was committed against them while they were in the prison system, regardless of why or they were incarcerated in the first place, regardless of the crimes they were convicted of that led them to be incarcerated. Once they're in those prisons, based on what I've seen and the conversations I've had and even what we've talked about earlier, they become victims within that system. And oftentimes, in order for them to survive within that system, they have to commit additional crimes. Not because they are necessarily criminal-minded or because they want to, but survival requires necessitates, it requires and demands it. And so there needs to be significant reform within our prison system. The other aspects of the criminal justice system need to be looked at and reformed as well. But, you know, everything from sentencing guidelines and minimum mandatories to the issues regarding the restoration of people's civil rights. But within the prisons itself, there needs to be some significant reform, absolutely.
Amen. And let's bring Dr. Holt in, because you brought up that word, sir, and it is trauma.
Absolutely.
And the trauma comes not only by what brought you to prison or what got you to the point that got you to prison, or prison itself, or the court system itself. Yeah.
Absolutely. You listen to 106 The Groove here at the Fresh Start Show. Forgive my tardiness. There was some sheriffs blocking off some stuff, so I don't know what was going on. So it made me a little delay getting to the show, but I'm here. It's good to have my good friend, my brother with me, the Honorable Judge Ron Wilson is with us, and so we're excited for you to take the time out to not only be our guest on the show, but to be our keynote for the fundraiser brunch that we're having, and so we're excited, and thank you for coming. truly been an iconic figure in our community, and judicial officer, attorney, legal expert. So we just thank you for being with us. Yeah, most definitely. In my work, my space is dealing with trauma,
Absolutely.
dealing with
Yes.
wounds and brokenness of humanity. And it's no secret that trauma is many of the root causes to society. What we see in all kind of different genres and brackets of society, and most definitely we talking about justice impacted populations. There's a huge amount of percentage of unresolved trauma that happens when people have not addressed their traumas and have these brain injuries on an emotional level, especially the frontal lobe. I think the frontal lobe is the big one, is because when that's hijacked, that impacts your decision making, that impacts your choices and things of that nature. And if you're making the wrong choices, you're in fight or flight, and you're in survival mode, and you want to get your hustle on, you might just get caught up.
Absolutely.
And actually you do get caught up. And so, and Judge Wilson, we have conversations outside of this space, and we talk about the alignment of trauma that happens to people. And when we don't heal from these traumas, we bleed on people that didn't cut us, and we see those things. So from your perspective, from a justice perspective, how does trauma play?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Dr. Holt. It's a pleasure being here. Always
sir.
good seeing you.
Yes, sir.
Even though I am a Boston Celtics fan, and I see you rocking that Chicago Bulls jersey and stuff,
It's
I
gonna
would have
be all
known.
right.
I would have
It's
come
gonna be
suited
all right.
and booted. But,
You're gonna be all right.
You put it on.
oh yeah, we gonna be all right.
Yeah, you put it on the
Oh yeah,
floor.
I'm not worried. We gonna be fine. We gonna be just fine.
You go from Larry Bird to Jordan. What you want to do?
We gonna be just fine.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we got no concerns over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I see trauma and have witnessed trauma as a root cause, and we know there's root causes behind the trauma.
Yeah.
But I've seen trauma as a root cause in probably 90% of the cases
Oh,
that
yeah.
came before
Yes.
me while I was down in South Tucson, and even the work that I do now. The issues when I first started the domestic violence court, mental health court, the homeless courts, and the drug courts down in South Tucson, our focus was on not only problem solving and addressing the root causes, but also that restorative aspect
Yeah.
and restorative justice. Because often in many of the, not only the DV crimes, but the assaults and even crimes involving drugs, we find that people are self-medicating.
Absolutely.
We found that hurting people hurt others
That's right.
and through trauma.
Sure.
And we also found that, and we talked about this earlier, that there are triggers that people
Yes.
don't address because they don't have access to insurance, or they're not seeing a therapist, or they just don't want to or are not capable of having the conversations because of their pride or because their culture says that it's not appropriate,
Yeah.
or because their family, because of our identities, our family and the way that we were raised discourages us from having those conversations that would be seen as weak or vulnerable or inappropriate
Yes.
because of how we identify as men in particular. And so we resort to violence or drinking or oppression,
Yeah.
Substance
or
different things,
and end up getting sick, not just mentally sick,
Yeah.
but high blood pressure, sleep deprivation, eating disorders,
Yeah.
of course, the alcoholisms,
Yeah.
cancer, all are a direct result of us not being well mentally and physically. And
I want to ask you a flip question, because
Yeah.
I always think that when people see judges, sitting high, looking down low on the bench, I want to ask you a different question in regards to internal trauma on the bench. Have there ever been, or it could be you yourself or colleagues, have you ever had any judges that struggle with some type of traumatic stress because they had to sentence someone and there was no flexibility because of mandatory sentences, that they just internalize, man, like I really didn't want to do that. Because I think a lot of times we don't see the other side. We see judges like just laying down the law.
Right.
But I think if we humanize even you guys, I just wanted to ask that, have you ever had any judicial colleagues that say, man, like that really bothered me that I had to throw down that sentencing because I didn't have any flexibility because of, mandatory sentencing from state or federal level?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, several of my colleagues have shared with me exactly what you described, and I've experienced it myself on multiple occasions. I would say the one that was most telling, most frustrating, and happened every week was we could just call the trifecta: the suspended license, the suspended insurance, the suspended registration.
Okay.
Oh,
That would
wow.
often lead to some type of a warrant, whether it was a failure to appear or a failure to pay.
Yeah.
We knew that the person who had all of these three charges could not afford to pay them. The payment plan was not accessible. It was something that they couldn't afford to pay.
Wow.
And we couldn't give them their license back unless they paid a certain amount of those fines or fees up
Right.
front and then
Right.
had an outstanding balance. And so because of that, they couldn't work. They couldn't go back to school. They couldn't pay their bills. And so their lives just spiraled downward as a result of what initially may have been a stop because of a broken taillight. And so yes, those bothered me. And in many cases with those types of civil traffic or criminal traffic violations, you can't assess community service. You can't suspend or set aside the balances. And so the defendant is required to pay, and there's not very much a judge can do other than try to work with them around a payment plan and then try to get them their license back and their insurance back with the minimum amount as possible.
Wow. I thank you for being transparent and sharing that, because I know I've talked to other judges as well, and they felt some kind of way. And they say, we need to do more on talking about trauma in the courts and talking about, even how judges are impacted.
Yeah.
I know we got 7 minutes left on the show, so you're going to be our keynote for our fundraiser. Going to be on September 20th. It's going to be at St. Andrew's Church in Tucson. So you guys come on, get a table, $35 individual. Organizations, come on out and get that 250 table of 8. You're an individual, $35. If you want to get a table, you can stack up 8 people to it. The voice you're hearing, Judge Wilson, will be our keynote, and we want you to come on out. And so can you just give a few bullet points of what you're thinking you want to share at the fundraiser for community members? I want to know what this judge got to say to me.
One of the things I want to share is continue to encourage those who are currently incarcerated to stay in the fight, to not give up, that there are people out here waiting for you, there are people here that love you and care about you, and the mistakes that you made in the past do not define you. You are not a throwaway person. You are a brother, you are a father, you are a sister. You are all of these things that our community values and cherishes. And I just want to remind you that there are several thousands of us, millions of us out here, all over the planet, that are rooting for you, that are praying for you. And so regardless of how...
People ain't used to hearing no judge talk. You sound like a preacher. You sound like a preacher to the judge.
Because I hang out with you. You rub off on me.
I'm about to take a
That's
take.
what happens when you go to church regularly. You end up, church ends up following you, right?
That's good.
And so I would like to share that. And then the other thing I would like to talk about is the importance of the restorative justice model.
Yes.
And really amplifying that and how that truly works, and how important it is for us to spread the good news about restorative justice
Yes,
and
yes.
social justice, because the research tells us, the data tells us, all the evidence-based best practices tell us that restorative justice not only helps heal the victim,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and ultimately that's what we want. Many courts argue is their, the purpose is to heal the victim, make the victim whole, but it also protects the due process rights
Yeah.
of the offender, and puts the offender in a position where we know it will reduce recidivism, and it will put the offender in a position where they can move on
Yeah.
from whatever it is that caused them to create that harm in the first place.
Nice. This is awesome, man. I'm so glad you've come. I'm thinking next year of adding to some of our events a Fresh Start Justice Summit. And I was wondering, I want to have a few panels. I most definitely want a legal panel or judicial panel. Perhaps we can get, such as yourself and some other colleagues that can talk about the issues of what we could be correcting from a court's perspective, legal's perspective, or something along those lines. But it's just something in the air I'm thinking of for us to be doing something far as education in our community. We know what we do at our expos and our clinics, but I wanted an education piece, information education piece. So I wonder if you'd be kind of interested in something like that to work with me on that.
Absolutely. I'd love to work with you on that. In Arizona, we have judges that are appointed and elected,
Yeah.
and we're always looking for good people with integrity and ethic and who are knowledgeable and wise to seek those positions.
Yeah.
And so part of that process is not only being transparent,
Yeah.
but having really courageous conversations about what does it really mean to be
Yeah.
a judge, and who do we really want sitting on
I know
those
that's right.
benches, and how do we hold judges accountable? Because for every good judge that's out there, there are several that are bad,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so those judges need to be removed,
That's right.
and they
Right.
need to be called out.
Nice.
And I had a quick
Amen.
question with that, Dr. Holt,
Sir.
to let Mr. T
Yeah.
get in.
Hurry
Before
up, sir.
Dr. Holt stole my thunder with the question, because I had that question coming at you with the judges. But what are some of the barriers from the legal aspect that you guys could really facilitate to some of the people that need those type of assistance?
For the barriers for the people or for the
Yes.
judges?
Yes.
Well, the number one is access. And so one of the things that I really like about what Fresh Start is doing, and what some of the other courts are doing, using the access to justice model, is many courts have become mobile. And so
Yes.
one of the biggest things, when I would say about at least 50% of the failure to appear warrants that I had, specific when I was in South Tucson, were because the individuals were homeless. They didn't have a watch, didn't have a cell phone, they didn't have access to a bus, or the way that the bus was working, they were not able to get to court
Oh, wow.
when they need to get to court. And because the way we had our system set up at the time when I first started, you had to arrive at a certain time, report in, name would be called. If you didn't arrive within that window, then you'd be scheduled a new date, and a warrant may have been issued for your arrest. So mobile courts, where courts actually go to the parks, they go to places like the Gospel Rescue Mission, go to homeless shelters, they go to where the people are, was one way to remove those barriers.
Just-
Another way to do that, another way, I think, is to have court that's in the evening and on weekends. I can't tell you how many people who couldn't show up because court was being held while they were working. And because they were working low-wage jobs, they didn't have PTO, they didn't
Yeah.
have sick leave,
Yeah.
personal leave. So if they took time off from work, they weren't getting paid for that time off that they were gone from work. Or
Only
when
got
they
a
came back,
few seconds left.
they didn't have a job.
Well, thank you for coming and being with us. We were most excited for your keynote. Tom, real quickly, you got any updates for the community?
Yeah, we got the Fresh Start fundraising breakfast, which is going to be September 20th from 10:30 to 1. We are going to have Judge Wilson speaking there, and at St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church on Paseo del Norte. And we are going to have the Fresh Start Expo, which is October 18th. That's going to be from 9 to 1. Remember, all of the things are live now. All of the flyers are live on the Facebook and on the website. So you can go on there and you can register for the fundraising breakfast. You can buy a table. You can do any of those things. Help us out. Fresh Start.